Hello, everyone who is joining us this evening. We appreciate you being here. We're just going to give it another moment to make sure everyone has a chance to enter the webinar before we officially get started. But thank you so much for taking some time out of your evening, and we'll get started in just a minute. See, we've still got some numbers of people joining us. Thank you again for being here. I'll just give it another couple of seconds to make sure everyone is in the room before we start. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here again. My name is Brenna May. I'm a Senior Assistant Dean of Admission here in the Hamilton College Admission Office. We are very excited to be here with you this evening to share a little bit about our career services at Hamilton. First and foremost, congratulations to all of you on your acceptance. We are really thrilled at the possibility of having you on campus. We hope we can answer your questions this evening, so please feel free to ask them. But the goal of this session is to share about the Career Center at Hamilton. We will actually be able to get a little bit of a live tour of the Career Center so you can picture where you're going to be meeting with your career advisors once you're on campus, but we'll also have a lengthy Q&A. So we have some questions that were submitted in advance, but if you do have questions throughout the session this evening, please feel free to use that Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Two of my colleagues are here in the session with us, and they will answer some questions there, but we will also pose questions live to the panel too. So don't be shy, use that feature. We want to make sure you're getting all the information that you are interested in. So before we start off with all of that exciting stuff, we're going to ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves. So just to go around and tell us who you are, what you do at Hamilton, and if you're on campus right now, show us a little bit of your surroundings. I think we'll start with David.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is David Bell. I'm one of the 4 career advisors at Hamilton. We'll talk a little bit about the career advising program a little bit later. I am not on campus. I'm in my kitchen right now, where I conduct all my Zoom calls during the day. Congratulations to you for being accepted to Hamilton, and hopefully we'll have a chance to work together when you join our campus.
Awesome. And Heather?
Hi, my name is Heather Wixon. I am also a career advisor at the Career Center, and congratulations to you all. I am also at my house, and I do have a puppy running around, so if she makes an appearance, I apologize, but she's cute.
Rebecca.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rebecca King. I'm the office coordinator, and as you might be able to tell, I'm not at home this evening. I'm actually in the Career Center, which is a nice change. It's been very quiet this semester and last semester with all the changes with COVID. But Brandon, would you like me to give a tour right now?
Let's actually have our 2 other panelists introduce themselves first, and then we'll go back to the tour. But thank you. And Dave.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Yee. I'm a junior studying creative writing and economics. I'm currently on campus. If you guys want to take a quick look, there is my roommate's bed right there, and then some beds. And excuse my other roommate's messy bed, but yeah, it's been great so far on campus, and I hope to see you guys all next semester.
Great, thanks, Dave. And last but not least, Bianca.
Hi guys, I'm Bianca. I'm from Boston. I'm a senior on campus. I actually didn't know there were any other econ and creative writing double majors, so I'm excited to hear that, Dave. I am also a double major with econ and creative writing. A little bit about myself is that on campus, I am a senior fellow for admission, so I might have interviewed a handful of you. So a special congratulations. I hope that everybody here chooses Hamilton. I'm also on the dance team on campus. I'm involved in a handful of finance-related clubs because that's what I plan to pursue after graduating, in addition to being in a sorority on campus. But I thought I'd give you a quick little tour of a bio lab that I'm in right now. I have some really cool sea urchins behind me, so let's see if we can go back here. There's a baby starfish right here, which my roommate said is the first one she's seen this year. There's a little crab here. I don't know if you can see him. His name's Eugene Krabs. We're also right outside some of our athletic complexes. It's a bit of a rainy day here. And then viewer discretion advised, there's some tarantulas. I'll show those really quickly. Ignore if you prefer not to, but I thought I'd just show those. And this is a pretty standard biology classroom as well. So if you have a lab, if you're taking a class your freshman year, this is my roommate who's a bio major and is really cool and let me get in on this fun science stuff. But I'll be moderating tonight, so I'm looking forward to hearing your guys' questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bianca. That was such a fun tour. I loved that. Well, as I mentioned before we get into the Q&A portion of this evening, we are going to have the chance to have a bit of a live tour of the Career Center. So Rebecca is going to take it away and just show you what it might look like when you come and meet with your career advisor.
All right, I'll go ahead and give this a try. I have not done this before, but we'll give it a try. I'm just flipping the screen over, and I'm just going to start. There's two ways to get to the Career Center. You can come in if you're up for exercise and come up the stairwell. We're in the third floor of Bristol. So if you're feeling like you'd like some exercise, that's a great way to do it. Usually I'm very winded by the time I get to the top. But for those of you who don't want to do that, you can also take the elevator. And both ways are very easy. When you come into the Career Center, you'll most likely stop at the front desk. This is where I usually am, and where you might sign in for an appointment, or if you have a question. I typically have a student working with me who will also be working on projects, or also might greet you if I'm not in the office, and they typically sit there. You can see that this is our lobby area, and the Career Center is a very bright and open space, lots of windows, lots of light. This is unusually quiet. Usually the Career Center is bustling and full of activity, but this has obviously been a much different year with everyone working remotely, but we are very excited to have students back on campus, hopefully this fall again, and have this office space full of energy again. Typically students will wait here for appointments with their career advisor. One of the things they love to do is help themselves to some coffee or tea at our Keurig station. While they wait, you'll see that we also have some tables here. This is where our peer advisors will work with students on their cover letter or their resume or a networking email. Those can also be done remotely. So there's those two options. And then we have some workspace here for students or student staff. There are some boxes there. Some of our advancement staff has been putting together some care packages for students this year. So they're not usually all piled up there, but this is basically the Career Center lobby. So it gives you a good picture of what you might see if you come to visit the Career Center. It's actually one loop of offices. So I'm just gonna walk you right through here. Up and see Heather, who's on the meeting tonight. This is her office. So you would go in there and visit with her.
Really
we have
haven't
Sean
been everybody
Burfield.
here.
Yeah, so we
This
didn't
is the first time I've
decided not to go
Here,
in.
no excited.
Yes. Otherwise, it's very quiet through here, but I'm just going to walk you around the hallway and show you a career advisor's room. We have a conference room in there. We have Leslie Bell. If you're interested in health professions, her office is right there. And Shannon, and she is in charge of promotions. And then I'm just going to bring you over here to Lisa's office. She's one of our career advisors. And this might be like what a typical office would look like if you came and visited with your career advisor. Just going to see if I could get that light to come on, but it's been a while. So this hopefully gives you a little idea of what it might feel like if you came in and had an appointment with your career advisor. And then I'm just going to walk around here. And there's David's office, who is also in on this meeting. And a few others. And then we're back at the front desk. And that is the grand tour of the Career Center.
Oh, very nice, Rebecca.
Thank you.
You did a nice job, like Vanna White, you know.
Rebecca, thank you so much. That was awesome. I think obviously one of the things these students are missing so much, all of you who are in our audience, is that many of you have not been able to visit campus. So we really hope that we've been able to give you a little bit of a sense of some small spaces on campus of what you might expect. So now we are really going to kick off the Q&A portion of this panel, of this event. And I'm going to turn it over to Bianca because she is going to be handling all the questions. But if you have questions, as I said, any that come to mind during the panel, please feel free to put them in the Q&A and we will try to answer them. So Bianca, take it away.
Thanks, Brenna, and thanks, Rebecca, for the tour as well. I forgot to mention that I work in the Career Center, so I definitely miss going in there and working with students in person. But I wanted to kick us off by starting some of our career advisors. What is Hamilton's philosophy towards career advising? And so if you could describe the career advising curriculum that begins the first year and follows students through their senior year, whoever wants to take it.
That's a great question. The curriculum actually is not based on class year in any way. It's actually designed to meet you where you are. We like people to engage, apologies for the dog. We like people to engage as early as possible so that they can get to know us and start talking about the Career Center. But our philosophy is very developmental. We want to be able to help you be able to find the internships and opportunities that you need to decide what it is that you want to do long term. So we really work hard to help you kind of help yourself, to kind of figure out what your particular circumstances, your interests, your skills, where you live, all of these things come into play when you're thinking about, opportunities. The curriculum, as it is right now, and it's probably going to be in flux a little bit due to the incoming ALEX program, but the curriculum is 4 parts. It's know thyself, explore, communicate, and connect. And in there, of course, are all those things like resumes and cover letters and interviews, but also things like, what are you good at? What do you enjoy? How can you reach out to people who are doing interesting things to learn more about it before you make a decision. So that would be it, I would say, in a nutshell. There's no particular timeline, but again, we love to see students early because you're assigned a career advisor before you come, and you'll get a postcard with our faces on it, and you'll know who your career advisor is, and we will reach out to you in early in your time here and say, hey, you're welcome to come in any time. We know that the first semester is a lot of adjusting and a lot of, really kind of getting used to being at Hamilton. But, if you want to come and meet with us and talk about career ideas, we love that. Definitely by your sophomore year, we want you to come in and kind of start engaging on those ideas, what you want to do, and how you can, effectively explore, different types of careers and opportunities and ideas. Some people come in and they know what they want to do, but then some people come in, they know what they want to do, and then it changes, which is why we like to have an assigned advisor for you, so we're not bopping you around from advisor to advisor, and we can kind of stay with you as you navigate different ways of exploring.
Let me just jump in and say that the dedicated advisor model, where you're assigned an advisor, just like Heather just mentioned, is kind of unique. I don't know any of our peer schools that has something similar. So the emphasis is on developing a relationship with you over your 4 years to get to know you, to get to know your interests. And I think you'll find that is only true at Hamilton.
Yeah, good point, David. Thank you.
Kind of following up on that, I know Heather briefly mentioned ALEX. So earlier this week, there was a session with admissions on the open curriculum in ALEX where panelists discuss the different forms of advising that we have available. And so can we talk a little bit more about how the Career Center plays a role in this larger network of advisors between academic advisors and this upcoming ALEX program?
Sure. We're still in the process of figuring all that out, if I'm being perfectly honest, right? This summer, the ALEX team is going to be working hard to get their curriculum together, and we're going to be working together to make sure we're not, to make sure it's a seamless process, that we're not asking you to do things your ALEX advisor is asking you to do and vice versa. So we may, as of now, we don't really know because it's going to be brand new. But I like to think it could only be positive, right? You'll have another person who's really interested in what you're doing and what you want to do. So I would, really recommend utilizing both of those resources. But again, we're not exactly sure how exactly that's going to roll out.
We're going to err on the side of giving you all sorts of support from all angles. You'll not have a shortage of people on campus that want to see you succeed. And the details will be forthcoming.
Great. And I know that you briefly mentioned, really wanting kids to get involved in the Career Center at least by sophomore year, but how and when will first year students be introduced to the Career Center and their advisors, and what are some ways they can get involved in the center early on?
As Heather mentioned, you'll get a postcard from us in August, letting you know who your career advisor is and welcoming you and indicating we'd like to get to know you. Kind of the first step is yours. There aren't a required meeting necessarily. Oftentimes, the first way a student gets to meet the Career Center is through one of our student workers. We have about 60 student workers that are our ears and eyes out on campus. And so you're likely to get to know the Career Center through one of those students, either through a brunch on the weekend or some kind of activity, perhaps a workshop for first-year students. So there are all sorts of ways to get to know the Career Center and the services we offer. Workshops, individuals, you can make an appointment with your career advisor. We'd love to see you. So different ways.
Yeah, I just want to throw in that once you're assigned an advisor and you enroll in the handshake system, which we'll send you information about that too, you can make the appointment. You can literally drop yourself into our calendars. So it's completely up to you. If you want to meet in the first week, hey, so it's up to you. We wouldn't hold you back in any way. We'd love to meet.
And speaking of student workers as well, Dave is on the peer advisor team with me on the discovery team. So Dave, could you briefly talk a little bit about what your role is in the Career Center as a peer advisor, and how can other first years get involved if they want to work in the Career Center and be one of those 60 employees that David mentioned?
Yeah, so like Bianca just mentioned, we're both peer advisors on the discovery team, which is one of the branches of the Career Center. And basically our job is to kind of host workshops in our Career Center curriculum, which range from everything from constructing resumes to constructing cover letters to practicing interviews to learning how to network. We also run individualized peer advisory appointments for if you have a specific question about your resume or cover letter or basically anything career related. And in terms of first years who want to get involved with working at the Career Center, I think we always hire around midway through the first semester. So if you're at all interested in becoming a peer advisor, you should keep an eye out for emails in your inbox for when you're on campus.
Yeah, I think that working at the Career Center is one of the best jobs on campus. Career Center and admissions, my two jobs, but it's really great. You learn, kind of going through the training, you learn how to build a great resume, cover letter, which are skills you're going to need anyway. So might as well do it and get paid to do it and then be able to help your friends. It's been one of my favorite roles on campus for sure.
Absolutely. You're getting paid to do what you have to do anyway.
You're right.
Right.
And you guys do such great work. So thank you.
Yes.
And then kind of going back to first years as well, not every student has a career plan when they enter college, knowing what they want to major in, let alone what they might want to do. And so how does the Career Center help students who are at different points in the process, whether it's knowing since they were born that they wanted to be a doctor or coming in completely undecided and a little bit overwhelmed on where to start?
I would say that most students coming to Hamilton don't know what they want to do. That's the majority. And if you do know what you want to do, oftentimes that changes, I think, as Heather mentioned. We have a lot of different ways to help you explore your career interests. I'm going to try to remember some of them. One of the major things we do is engage alumni who represent all sorts of different areas, all sorts of ways they're using their Hamilton education out in the real world. And they've been very generous to give their time either to be on campus in person during non-COVID times, or this last year, we've channeled them in remotely. And so we'll have an afternoon panel on careers in finance and then something over lunch about careers in working in a museum. We'll have sessions on what can I do with a literature major or what can I do with a philosophy major. So those are great ways to start to get on your radar. What are some of the things that are out there I might be interested in? We have a shadowing program where you can spend some time with an alum at their place of work. Again, this last year we did it remotely, but usually kind of in person. Meeting with your career advisor just to talk about kind of what's on your radar. I would also say that getting involved in campus, both academically and extracurricularly, is a really critical part of your exploration, learning a little bit about, what kind of skills you enjoy, how you like to work with people, what is your role on a team. They're all sorts of things that you can learn about yourself that will transfer into the world of work by engaging both academically and in co-curricular activities. So that's strongly encouraged as soon as you get to campus.
Yeah, kind of just build off what David was saying. Like, I think the great thing about the Career Center is that it's for everyone who's at every stage of the career exploration process. So I have friends who knew exactly what they wanted to do after graduation, go to grad school or that kind of thing. And Career Center still had workshops that are beneficial to them in terms of like perfecting your resume and that kind of thing. But for me personally, coming into college, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. But after attending all the workshops and getting all the training as a peer advisor, I feel much more equipped to kind of network and talk with these Hamilton alums who have been through the same kind of process. And after having all these conversations, I definitely have a much better idea of what I want to pursue post-graduation. So I would say, like, don't feel any anxiety or stress about not knowing exactly what you want to do. I think it's a position that most people will be in, and the Career Center is here to help you out with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Knowing you're not alone, I think, is the biggest thing in that, and knowing that you have time to explore. Then on the other side of that too, I'd love to hear more about the students who do know what they want, or maybe come junior, senior year, they're starting to figure it out. So could you speak a little bit to pre-professional advising that's available? So whether that's pre-med, pre-dental, pre-public health, pre-law, any advising that we have centered around that?
Sure, I could start with pre-law. And pre-law is actually pretty easy because there are no requirements. Law schools want you to have a high GPA and a high LSAT score. They aren't as holistic as undergraduate institutions, and they don't want you to be majoring in anything in particular, and they don't want you to do any certain extracurriculars. In fact, they like to have as a diverse student body as possible in terms of interest and major and those kinds of things. So my job as a pre-law advisor is really easy. And in fact, it's so easy that most students who are interested in law, or all students who are interested in law, are just kind of, they go to any advisor. It's just kind of a random thing. They don't all come to me because there really isn't any pre-law is kind of a misnomer. It really is. It's if you think about it, law touches everything in our lives. And so whether you're interested in education or women's rights or whatever, it's probably econ. It's going to have some law implications that will be useful later. What your advisor will do, no matter what industry you're interested in, is help you get ready to reach out to people who actually do that kind of work. And that is really powerful and can be the best thing that you can do to make that kind of decision. So, when I'm working with a student interested in law, I will have them talk to students in law school, talk to working lawyers, and really kind of learn where they might fit into that world.
Pre-health is very different. Pre-health has a very strict set of prerequisites. Hamilton has a pre-health advisor that works with students interested in medicine, vet, PA, nursing, any of the therapies, and public health. And that's a little bit different because there are a set of courses that you do need to take depending on the health area that you're interested in. And so it's likely that you'll meet with the pre-health advisor kind of early in your time at Hamilton and kind of iron out your 4-year plan. One of the interesting things about Hamilton, again, I think it's a little bit unique because we have a assigned advisor system model at Hamilton. If you're a pre-health student, you have both a pre-health advisor and also a career advisor, and we do a little bit of division of labor. The pre-health advisor focuses more on your academic, meeting the requirements, and also when it's time to apply to the professional school to help you with the process, where your career advisor helps you kind of with the gaining experience, the exploration part of the equation. And so you have, as in many instances, 2 advisors that are there to help you with the process. So that's pre-health. Pre-engineering, I can speak just briefly to that. One of our physics professor professors. Gordon Jones is the point person for students interested in engineering. And that pursuit can happen in a couple of different ways. We do have a couple of combined programs with different engineering schools that you can do a 2-3 or a 2-4 program or a 3-1. I'm not going to get them all right, but with different schools. So you spend some time in Hamilton, you spend some time at another school, engineering school. So that's one model. Another model is completing all 4 years at Hamilton and then going to another school that has a program for liberal arts students that want to transition in engineering. So those are two different career paths for students that might be interested in engineering. Those are the primary pre-professional programs at Hamilton.
Awesome. And that's a great transition into a question we got about clarifying whether career advisors are randomly assigned or assigned based on majors. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe career advisors are randomly assigned, and you can have your pre-health advisor or pre-law on top of that. But you have academic advisors that are going to be based on your major. And so when you come in, if you're undecided, but say maybe leaning towards literature, which I was, you'll be assigned a literature advisor. And then the time when you declare your major, which is sophomore spring, you'll request a new advisor. So if you decided to stay with that same major, you thought you were going to stick with freshman year, you can stick with that advisor. If you have two majors, you'll have two different advisors. So I have really great professors, one in the econ department, one in the creative writing lit department, that are my two advisors. And so you have your career advisor and your academic advisor, in this upcoming year, your Alex advisor as well. So did I miss anything on that?
No, you're right. Totally randomly assigned, not based on academic or career interests at all.
Perfect. And then kind of to transition to internships, it's something that I know we get a lot of questions on. So I want to spend a lot of time kind of elaborating on different experiences there. So I'd love to start by asking, how early can students take advantage of internship opportunities? So first year, second year, third year, and how do you find them? Are they during the year, summer breaks? Just how do you kind of start to tackle that idea? Because I know there's a lot of pressure around it. So I'd love to hear, the career advisor take on it.
So much pressure around it. So, I often work with first years who have a summer internship. But one of the things I talk to all my students about is that, we're hyper focused on the summer because we're in academics, but you can get career related experience. We don't even like to use the word internship at the Career Center because we want students to just have experiences that'll help them decide what career is going to be best for them. So anything that might help you decide that is going to be great. And that can be an on-campus job. I know, at least two of our former employees are now hoping to work in college career centers at some point, right? So, and I've known several admission fellows who have gone off to work in admissions. So, there's many, many ways that you can get career related experience. Students do often, first years will do volunteer work in the area through some clubs like Havoc or Hand, which works with autistic kids. And that will give you career related experience. You'll learn, do I like to work directly with people, and might nonprofit work be for me? If you have a summer internship in your first year, that's great. But I actually have this conversation almost every year with first years early on. They're like, I want to do one more year as a camp counselor. Do it, right? The first year, not critical. First summer, not critical. If you can get something and that's what you want, I would help you to find it. But it's not, it can't be the be all and end all, right? And you got to start by, one of the things we really try to teach students is you need to build a foundation, right? So if you're interested in advertising, your first summer is not going to be at Saatchi & Saatchi, right? It's probably going to be at your local grocery store, helping them with their marketing campaign or something along those lines. So we kind of work with you to help build a foundation. Even joining a club where you could be marketing the club could be really powerful on a resume. So yes, lots of opportunities early on to begin that self-discovery, but don't hyper focus on the internship, you know, the be all and end all. You know, as you're going through your time at Hamilton, yeah, I want you to have a summer internship. And I've even worked with students, believe it or not, who've done the camp counselor thing all 4 years, but have networked with the parents in order to leverage those relationships. And so it's really individual, which is another reason we like to stay with you through your 4 years to kind of help you think through, you know, well, based on, you know, what you did last year, maybe this is a new way of looking at it or a new thing that you can try. Does that answer that question?
Yeah.
I'd also say as a first year student, I would put the emphasis more on exploration than on internship. Honestly, employers, formal internships are looking for students that are perhaps a little bit more focused than a first year student is focused. They want to know why you're interested in a particular career field. What have you already done that suggests that this is a good fit for you? And honestly, most first year students aren't in that position. So we like to help students kind of explore what their career interests are. So when it comes time to, to apply for something a little bit more formal, they can point to something very specific that makes sense to that employer, why that student is applying, not just something random because I need an internship this summer and I feel pressure to do something. That probably is not the best way to make the connection. So we'll help you kind of explore, gain experience. It may not be an internship, as Heather mentioned, might be volunteer, might be a dog sitting, could be all sorts of things.
Awesome, thank you. And Dave, I was wondering if you could give the junior perspective. I'm not sure if you're on your hunt for an internship right now for your big junior summer, and maybe a little bit about what your CREs have looked like over the years.
Yeah, excuse me. So my freshman year, I was definitely doing exactly what David was saying. I was just, like I said, I had literally no idea what I was doing. So I was kind of just attending all the Career Center workshops and kind of exploring what maybe I wanted to do. And I didn't put that much pressure on myself to find an internship after freshman year, which I think was a healthy mindset because that is honestly a pretty uncommon and difficult thing to do as a freshman. But as soon as I started to network and kind of have those conversations with Hamilton alums and kind of narrowed down my focus, that's when I was able to put all of my energy into kind of networking and finding the right connections to put me in the right position to get those internships. And I'm kind of focusing on marketing right now, and I was able to find an opportunity last summer doing the marketing for like a real estate company. And I think I attribute that to the fact that I didn't put that much pressure on myself freshman year to figure out exactly what I was doing, and B, put in the work after I did have a more clear picture to kind of like pin down an internship. But also, even if you don't end up getting anything, like that's totally okay, because as I think it was Heather earlier who mentioned, like you can find a ton of things to put on your resume and career-related experiences that aren't necessarily coming straight from internships. There's a ton of different opportunities on campus for leadership positions or just things that will put you in a better position to find a job down the road. And it doesn't necessarily have to come in the form of these formal paid internships that everyone kind of is vying for.
Yeah.
Saying that, Dave, the other thing is, this past summer, of course, with COVID, and it looks increasingly more like this coming summer, students are having trouble finding internships. Companies have cut back, they've gone fully remote, they've done different things, but that doesn't mean there aren't career-related activities you can do over the summer that will really, really help you in the future. And, I think I said it to about 8 students this week, if you want to really do something great for your future this summer, start talking to alumni in a field that you're interested in, because connections are often much more important than specific experiences. So, learning to kind of talk to people about your interests and things like that are really important. And that's something that, David and I and the other advisors really love to do, help coach you through that and help you figure out who might be great to talk to.
Absolutely. The number one thing that they hammer us with during Career Center training is networking. And it's definitely what gets anybody a position. And just kind of forming those connections and learning about careers is the most important part. But I'm happy to speak to my experience as well, kind of starting freshman year, because I've had some different internship experiences. My freshman spring, I actually had an internship with a Hamilton alum or Kirkland alum. She had reached out to all Hamilton students and said that her and her husband work for the animal rescue law firm through the New York County Lawyers Association. And I, like Dave, was very confused freshman year. I didn't quite know what I wanted to do, and law was on my radar. And so I thought it would be fun. And so my first year, I spent once a week on a conference call with this Hamilton alum and her husband, and we would talk about doing some social media marketing for this forum that she was having. And it was with two other Hamilton students, I believe a sophomore and a junior at the time. And it was just so cool to get hands-on experience. I learned after that that I wasn't super interested in marketing and I wasn't super interested in law, but I find that an experience that you can eliminate is just as valuable as one that you find that you do like. So that was my freshman spring. And then that summer, I was talking a lot with my career advisor, kind of panicking about feeling like I needed something really fancy or really specific. And she talked to me about organic connections and kind of creating a position for yourself. So I ended up talking to my neighbor who was a venture capitalist, knowing that I was interested in the work that she did. And it wasn't anything formal. I just went into her office, I think twice total over the summer, and did most of the work on my laptop from my bed. But she gave me some Excel sheets to work with, and same type of thing. I thought that it was fun, but I didn't love it. And then I kind of decided what I wanted to do from there. And through my classes and through more networking conversations, decided to choose a different path. In my sophomore summer, I spent half of it on a program off campus regarding finance. And I just spent the rest of my summer on campus tour guiding because there was no huge pressure. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that my junior summer is when I would have more of a formal internship. And I was able to secure that formal internship my junior summer in investment banking. So I would have been in New York if it wasn't for COVID. It was one of those from my parents' basement type of internships via the laptop. But it was all from just kind of trial and error and having these different experiences. So I thought I'd speak to that for a bit. Great. I also wanted to ask, from a career advisor and a peer advisor standpoint as well, what are common types of internships? If it's this foreign word that a lot of high school seniors might not know, can you just talk about if they're paid or unpaid? What some common ones are that your advisees have worked towards?
But it really runs the gamut,
Yes.
because and again, and that's why we like the assigned advisor model, because you get to know a student and can kind of help them personalize their search, right? Because it's going to depend on many factors. Not everybody has access to a large city. If you live in a small town, your internship might be doing the newsletter at the library, right? It might be something small like that to kind of help build that foundation. Once you get, a little bit older and more competitive, then, Bianca, like you said, there might be, investment banking. We have a lot of students who have that interest. We have a lot of students who are interested in education, actually more than that are interested in banking. And they do all kinds of different things, working with kids in summer programs and tutoring and that sort of thing. There's a lot of interest in marketing and advertising and those kinds of careers, communications of all kinds, really, publishing and media. So people will do those things. There's the New York City and DC programs where people will do an internship for a whole semester. And those are really powerful. And DC generally tends to be government based, and the New York City program rotates a bit. So it really does kind of run the gamut. I can't say there's a typical kind of internship. And in fact, we have summer internship funding, and we get reflections from students, and it's always like, that is the coolest thing, right? It's like, I've never even heard of that. That's what's really kind of interesting about the world of work right now. There are jobs that don't even exist now that will when you guys graduate. And so it's more important, I think, to know yourself and what you're good at and your areas of interest, and be able to kind of think flexibly, because a lot of that is changing. There aren't really many straight paths anymore, but that's really cool in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, I just love talking to my friends and seeing we're all different majors, but even some people have overlapping majors. Or internships are so different. My roommate had one this summer where she was doing grant writing. So she was working with a company that helped nonprofit organizations write grants and just doing really awesome work. And I loved hearing about that compared to friends who worked in user-faced design and were doing web design. So it's just really cool to learn what your peers are doing, because like Heather said, there's not one clear shot where everyone's doing the same type of thing. And if anyone can take this question, but it's something that's been a big part of my Hamilton experience, is the Hamilton Alumni Network. And so could someone share some examples on how Hamilton students have utilized that and what it means?
Yeah, I can take this one. I definitely fully agree with what you were saying earlier, Bianca. Like, in my opinion, networking is such a huge part of what they teach you here, and in my experience, it's definitely turned out to be really helpful for me. So last year, I followed what the networking workshops are kind of telling me, and I reached out to a Hamilton alum, and we had a nice conversation over the phone, and we turned out we had a ton in common, from majors to like career paths to kind of like not knowing what we wanted to do exactly. And ever since then, we've had a really tight relationship. Like, he's been really great about sending me a ton of opportunities that kind of come his way, or something that he thinks I'd be interested in. And it's given me a lot of really great experience that I can put on my resume. And none of that would have been possible if I hadn't like reached out and formed these connections. So I definitely find that with every single conversation I have with the Hamilton alum, everyone's super nice, super willing to help, because like I said, they've been in the same position before, and they're just really approachable.
Mm.
I've worked at a few colleges and I've never seen a stronger alumni network. It's incredible to me. I wish I had gone here. Just the way they're so engaged and so interested in helping. And something that I forgot to mention about internships is we launched a program called SNAP last year, where Hamilton alumni are giving internships exclusively to Hamilton students, and they're short-term remote project-based experiences. And they were really popular in the summer of COVID, and we even did it over winter break. And that speaks a lot, I think, to the alumni body, that we had enough of those, for a lot of students to get some really meaningful experience in all kinds of fields, even though they couldn't go do a traditional thing. And so we've got really great alumni. We also have, David had mentioned programs with alumni. We have tons of those, including, an interview workshop where alumni will come and talk to you for 45 minutes just to give you practice, and, a lot of really cool things like that. Alumni really are really important to what we do, and probably more so as we move towards the future.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In admissions, they call us Hamilton students freakishly friendly. And I think that extends to our alumni as well after they graduate. When they meet a Hamilton student or hear from a Hamilton student, they want nothing more than to drop what they're doing and talk and catch up and see what's going on in the Hill. To give a personal anecdote as well, I was interviewing with the bank back my sophomore spring, I believe. And there was a Hamilton team at the bank, and Hamilton assigned each one of us a mentor at the bank. And my mentor was fantastic. She emailed me every morning telling me who to reach out to that day. And we talked every night, helping me prep for the interview. And so in the 7 days leading up to it, I think I talked to 13 or 14 different bankers just from her, being on top of me and helping me out. And I think that's really special, especially where I know she was really busy working all day, that she took that time to invest in me. And I know that that's for sure the same exact example across all career paths, not just the one that I was involved in. So it made me feel really special. And I know that the alumni care about us a lot. This is a little bit of a switch in conversation, but we had a question about JANs as well. And so what type of support is available to JANs prior to their arrival on campus in the spring? Because we might have some January admits in the audience who might be worried about, falling behind, missing their fall semester on campus.
JANs, yes, we love JANs. They're great. I love when they come to campus and they already have their cohort, and it's just a lot of fun to work with them. But we get the names of the Jan admits sometime around October. So you guys get assigned a little bit later, but you still get the postcard. I think we also send an email because we know you're probably not home. And you are able, again, to make an appointment as soon as you want. I met with a number of Jans before they even landed on campus last year, just to have some kind of, introductory conversation and maybe a little chat about what they're thinking long-term. But yeah, we're happy to chat with them, and they are assigned like other students, but just a little bit later because we get their names a little bit later.
Then the next question is regarding seniors and kind of some post-grad opportunities. But could you share some information with us regarding those students who go to graduate school to pursue fellowships versus employment? And just talk a little bit about that big range of fields that our grads enter after graduation.
Sure, I can take that. I do an annual survey at graduation each year, just asking students, hey, what are you doing? Interestingly, it doesn't change dramatically year to year, but about 3/4 of each graduating class goes into the job market. They're looking for a job. And I would say between 40 and 50% at graduation have some definitive plan, either grad school or a job lined up. So about 3/4 are going into the job market. Somewhere between 11 and 13% are going directly to grad school. About 3% are participating in some kind of post BA fellowship. And I'm going to pull up my report just to kind of get a sense for how that breaks down a little bit more specifically. Well, that didn't work. It's still spinning. Hold on. As Heather alluded to earlier, the top career area being pursued by Hamilton students is education, broadly defined. And usually next in line is finance. So those are fairly neck and neck, but usually more students are exploring education. Okay, here we go. Thank you. We've seen an increase in science and technology over the last 3 or 4 years. So that's about 13%. In fact, it looks like last year, science and technology for the first time topped both education and finance. So about 13% going into science and technology, 12% into education, 10% into finance, about 6% into healthcare, 8% into nonprofits. So that's a little bit of the breakdown of the kinds of opportunities students are pursuing.
That was great. And I can speak to my experience as well about my post-grad plans. I was lucky enough to secure a return offer at the firm that I interned with over the summer. So finance is a bit of a, thank you, I appreciate it. It's a bit of a streamlined process where typically your junior summer, if you have an internship in investment banking or asset management, wealth management, you're hoping to get that return offer. And so over the summer, I secured my internship through who at the time was a senior at Hamilton. And she helped me kind of prep and pulled some strings, put in a good word at the firm for me. And so it was through a Hamilton connection that I got the internship. And then in September, I received the return offer to come back. So I'll be starting my position in July in New York. So that's Steeple. It's a middle market firm.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm just excited to be with some friends in the city as well, because I have so many friends who are working at different banks in the city or nonprofits. I have a friend doing Teach for America there. So it'll be great to stay in touch with everyone. Kind of along those lines as well, and something that I'm really curious about kind of becoming an alumni next year. How does the Career Center support students after graduation? And is there someone on a team that works with alumni and kind of keeps in touch with them?
You continue working with your advisor. We've gotten to know you hopefully over your 4 years, and we're not going to throw you to somebody else. So we continue working with you. You know, honestly, typically it's through the summer until you find that next opportunity. That's when we're usually the most active. As I mentioned, about 50% of the class has definitive plans. Others, for all sorts of reasons, maybe they didn't start their job search till later in the semester or put it on hold altogether because they needed to complete a senior thesis. So it's not atypical for a student to really start in earnest the job search during the summer. And so we meet with our advisees all during the summer after they graduate, again, supporting them, helping them find that next opportunity, whether it be grad school or a job. So that continues. And periodically, even after that, we'll stay in touch. But most of our work with alumni is that summer until they find their first opportunity.
Yeah, I often hear from young alumni and you know, sometimes older alumni too, just wanting to talk a little bit about, you know, the networking process and things like that. So yeah, we're always open to you. And then Shauna Hirschfield in our office really kind of runs that whole Hamilton career network. And so, once you're out and you're working, in an industry, you're going to want to, plug into the Hamilton Career Network so you can meet other Hamiltonians who do similar work and stay connected to the college and pay it forward and help the next round of students.
And also through that Hamilton Career Network, there are all sorts of formal programs for alumni to encourage that networking in a more formal sense. So we have a finance club or a media club or a tech club of alumni that support each other and do professional development types of activities. So that's a great way to plug in to kind of helping your own professional development.
Yeah, we just got a question in the chat as well, asking if we have a specific number for the percentage of students who apply to med school and are accepted every year.
Every student that does really, really well at Hamilton and gets all the experience that they're supposed to get gets into medical school.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it really depends on the students. We have a lot of students that get in medical school, but it really depends on, your efforts. If you come to Hamilton and don't do well and get a 2.5, guess what? You're not going to medical school. It's just the nature of the industry. So kind of percentage of students that get in medical school is really not a good comparison. We have students that are very successful, go to great medical schools because they put in the effort, they've done well, they've paid attention to the steps they're supposed to take, and they'll be successful. Students that aren't successful.
I have kind of an embarrassing tour story where I had heard a statistic about something that 100% of students did something, and for some reason I thought it was medical school, and someone asked me that question on a tour and said, what percentage of students get into med school? And I said 100%, and they were pretty shocked. And I just said it so confidently, and they were like, are you sure? And I was already in on it. So I went with it and came back and found out it was not. But that was just kind of an embarrassing tour guide story. So Brenna, I hope you forgive me. I don't know if I filled the office in on that mishap.
Not a problem. To David's point, though, it is true. I get that question a lot about law school. And there's really no measure I can give you about the number of successful Hamilton students. If you have the GPA and the LSAT score to get into your chosen school, and you pull together a nice application, there's no reason you shouldn't get in. But that is less a reflection of Hamilton and more a reflection of the individual student. So it really, he wasn't trying to be flip. It's really wherever you go to school, actually, it's going to be, the onus is going to be on you. So utilize all of your resources so that you are able to put your best foot forward when you are applying.
Thank you, guys. We have one last question from the chat as well, asking if there are any support programs to prepare for national fellowship applications, because I know it's a competitive process.
We have probably the best fellowship advisor ever. Ginny Daw, she's been at Hamilton for a long time, and she is the most encouraging, supportive, informed person that I know, and it's reflected in how successful we are each year in terms of those national fellowships. So we just got three Watsons, and that usually, if you're doing the average, there are only a certain number of schools that are part of that program, and each school is kind of allotted potentially two slots. So if Hamilton gets 3, that means another school has not gotten there, only had 1 or so. But we historically have done very well, and I give a lot of credit to Ginny, who works very closely with students to kind of understand the process, to coach them along the way. And again, we have a lot of success in that area.
And if you're interested in fellowships, talk to Ginny early. She loves talk to students early about their ideas, and she helps them form those ideas and think them through. Don't wait until you're almost a senior. She really, mostly focuses on juniors, but I know she, just like us, she loves it when the freshmen and the sophomores come in too, because if they get thinking early, the better their proposals will be.
Right.
And then before we get to our last question, I just wanted to a couple lightning round questions unrelated to career advising, if everybody could give a quick answer. What is everyone's favorite building on campus, aside from the Career Center? Of course, because that's everyone's
That
top.
building.
Which one?
I said I can't use the Career Center building.
Sure you can.
It's funny because whenever I drove by the college in the past, I always looked at that building. It's a Bristol building, because it's a beautiful brick building with these lovely arches outside, and so it just draws your attention whenever you go by. Other than that, maybe I really like the Wellen Museum. Every time I go in there, it's different and gorgeous and interesting. But I do like the Career Center building.
Fitness center for me. It's you got a wonderful machine, state of the art, and you're looking out of these beautiful windows out into practice fields and lawns, and you hardly notice that you're working out.
I'll have to try that.
I would personally say KJ. I think it's a great place to, if you need to study, you can always find a quiet little corner, or if you want to be more social, you can hang out on the couch here. So, okay.
Rebecca?
Well, I can actually speak from a photographer perspective. I do photography part-time also, and every year I have seniors from the local village come up, and they love to take it here at the Bristol Center with all the beautiful arches. Actually, the Taylor Science Center has some beautiful windows, and so there's always these beautiful reflections. The same, with, I think someone's background there was the new the art building. But that's a favorite, and also the admission building. We have taken some beautiful pictures out front there, but honestly, all the buildings are so pretty.
I personally love the Science Center. I've taken one science class here, and I'm the least scientific person you'll meet, but I love just coming and studying here. The fitness center is also awesome that David mentioned. We have a rock wall that's 3 stories tall, which is really cool. And I love our ice rink as well, just kind of getting out there and taking advantage of all the resources that we have. One more lightning round question as well is, what is one word that you would use to describe Hamilton students?
Amazing. I really, Hamilton students and alumni, it's so interesting. They're so interesting. And so they're all so different. It's the reason, I know David feels the same way. It's the reason I do what I do.
Yeah. Diverse in all sorts of ways, coming from all sorts of backgrounds, interested in all sorts of subjects, engaged in all sorts of activities, just a diverse group of students on campus.
David has took mine. I was going to say diverse also, just a very huge range of different backgrounds and cultures and interests, and all very dedicated and to what they're passionate about in their studies, and very hardworking.
I'd say approachable. I feel like you can just stop any student like on Martin's Way and just strike up a conversation, and you'll leave that conversation having made a new friend. And I feel like everyone on this campus is like that.
Yeah, I agree. My go-to is always passionate or supportive. I think those are 2 words to describe the Hamilton community in general. I know we're coming up on time here. Oh, sorry, Heather.
I was just saying passionate's a good one.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know we're coming up on time, so I want to make sure we get to one last important question that I'm sure a lot of seniors are wondering right now is, what piece of advice would you provide for a first-year student in terms of career planning? And is there anything they should know or do now as high school seniors, or when they first get to campus as a first year?
I think David said it earlier. I think the word is explore, right? Even if you think you don't know what you want to do, don't put blinders on, right? It's great if you have that goal, you want to go to law school, great, but don't be singularly focused on that. If you think you might be interested in somebody's talk or this club or that class, do it, take it, because you never know. I've had so many students come into my office and say, I just took constitutional law and now I want to pursue that. Or, you know, I had this internship this summer and I really want to do this now. So it's, you know, even if you feel like you know what you want to do, don't put blinders on, explore widely, and talk to as many people as you can. And sometimes that's scary. And that's something that your career advisor can really help you do. Pick out the right people to talk to about your interests.
This is a variation on Heather's theme. Get involved. That's how you learn about yourself. Take advantage of all the different opportunities, whether it be academic, co-curricular. You learn about yourself and about your interests by doing things, by getting out there, by engaging. And Hamilton has a wealth of opportunities for you to engage, and that's how you're going to learn and explore.
Yeah, I would fully agree with what Heather and David just said. I would just say advice for things to do right now, just enjoy the rest of your senior year. Like, I know a lot of your high school experience has probably been taken away from you because of coronavirus. And you're only a senior in high school once. So just live in the moment, and you have a ton of time to figure things out once you get here. So yeah, that's what I would say.
That's a good point, Dave.
Great advice. Enjoy.
I'd echo everything everyone said, and especially Heather, don't be closed-minded, be open-minded, go to the panel in how I got my internship in education or communication or investment banking, or the panels, what I did with my major in art, literature, econ, even if it's something that you don't think interests you. It's just an hour and you're going to meet a really cool alumni, and it might be, yeah, this sounds great, or it might be, this isn't for me.
All right. Thank you all so much. That was really an incredible panel. I feel like I learned a lot about the career services that are offered at Hamilton. I hope all the students in our audience did as well, and that we got to answer all of your questions. If you do have any questions that we either didn't answer this evening or that you don't think about until later today, please feel free to reach out to the admission office. We would love to either answer them ourselves or get you in touch with someone from career services to get that answered for you. We also do have a couple more events coming up for admitted students. I know we're getting close to the end of April, but please feel free to keep checking our website at hamilton.edu/explore. That will show you all the things that are coming up. Thank you once again to our panelists and for everyone for joining us this evening. We look forward to seeing you on campus soon. And please let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Have a great rest of your night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.